to the Sad Fan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad. And man, we are rolling. We're not skipping weeks for a while till the NFL preseason kicks off, and we've got quite a bit to talk about. I mean, we came to you prior to that Belgium USA game, which was a problem. And we came to you prior to the Max Holloway Conor McGregor fight, which is going to be a problem. And we came to you prior to the Paraguay France thing, the blow up, the racism that occurred following that game. I believe it was a Paraguayan senator that said some fairly, not just fairly, like I guess incredibly racist things that we'll get into later. And then, of course, we are still in the middle of the LeBron saga. Why? Because LeBron likes himself some news. LeBron loves to stay in the news. I don't know. Is this the last news cycle that LeBron James is going to be a part of? As far as will he, won't he? I'm a little LeBron out. He is the ultimate diva as far as the NBA is concerned, but we got to give him props because he's one of these superstars that hasn't really maybe one controversy, but rarely been soaked in controversy like Team USA was prior to the game against Belgium. Now, hot take here. I don't think that there was ever a question that this red card was going to be overturned. I had a belief that this was going to get overturned the entire time. I did not think there was any way that FIFA would allow for the USA breakout star to not be a part of this knockout round game against Belgium. Now, did it backfire? Yeah. Was the timing bad? Yes. Was the red card nonsense? Absolutely. We talked about that on the last episode, but I did have a strong feeling. Like, did I want to see Pepe? Yeah, I kind of did, actually. Is Balogun miles ahead of Pepe? Some will tell you yes. I don't know. I don't know, because we never got to see Pepe there, and we don't know what goes on in practice. I've been saying that for a while, but one thing that I do know is Christian Pulisic is not Captain America. Captain America is gritty. He can do this all day. He doesn't quit on his team. And Christian Pulisic did. Christian Pulisic was not great the entire World Cup. Christian Pulisic got kicked in the calf. Now, we can call it a calf strain, but I think it was just a calf bruise. He didn't play against Australia, which was one of the great USA games. He didn't play in the second half against Paraguay, which was a great USA game. And he only played 10 minutes of the Turkey game. Okay? Christian Pulisic has not looked good throughout this World Cup. He didn't look good against Bosnia. Christian Pulisic is a disappointment. And here's the thing with Christian Pulisic. We're done making excuses for him. And that has to be the thing. Is he the reason that USA lost? Absolutely not. Is, our annoying leader the reason why they lost? Absolutely not. But it did add pressure. I think it absolutely did add pressure on Team USA. The reason we lost is Pochettino got outcoached. The team looked scatterbrained. They weren't in a position to win that game at any point throughout that game. All right. We got 60 seconds of relief when Malik Tillman knocked in that goal. And now we're left doing what we do every single cycle, which is, well, what do we have in the future? Now, let's not take our focus off Christian Pulisic. Man, they got that injury news out fast, that microfracture news. And the truth is he quit. He quit. He played like trash, and he quit on his team. And he does this repeatedly. He didn't play in the Gold Cup to prep for the World Cup, but he didn't really play. And that's important for us to acknowledge. He didn't really play in the World Cup. He got pulled in 45 minutes in the Paraguay game, didn't play in the Australia game, played 10 minutes of the Turkey game, and looked like shit against Bosnia. All right, and looked like terrible against Belgium, and then he got an owie. Christian Pulisic always has an owie, and we always have an excuse for him, and we're done. It's time to find a real U.S. superstar. We are a country, a sporting country that loves grit. We love it. We love to get behind the underdog. We love when players go out there injured and put their shield up and continue to fight. And that is not something that Pulisic has in him. He is a quitter. He quits everywhere he goes. When things get tough, he gets weak. All right. He has never risen to any occasion. He's done a lot of things, but he's been put in a lot of positions to do these things. All right. He failed in Chelsea. He couldn't beat out Kai Havertz. All right. He failed he's failing in AC Milan after having an amazing season the year before. When things get tough, which they got tough this year, Christian, owie, I got hurt. Oh no, I'm hurt again. He's fragile. He's soft. He's not somebody that we need to rely on as far as growing this game that a lot of us love. And then when this happens, it allows the European footballing arrogance to take over and talk about how we're not a serious footballing country and this and that and how it's a joke that if better, just shut up. The truth is, it starts at the grassroots. European football clubs have better systems for development than the United States does. Why? Because it's pay for play in the United States. And until it's not pay for play, we will always be a second-class footballing nation. So I don't agree with a lot of European sentiments. I think that if we get them where they're at, if we allow football to be a affordable outlet for children in the United States, that we can be one of the best footballing nations in the world. But until that day comes, until we stop allowing venture capitalism to dive into youth sports, we're going to look like this because only the wealthy will survive. Only the genealogy of the rich will continue to inherit this game that we love, and we will never have the best athletes out there. So nobody knows. That's the thing. They can say, no, that would never happen. Shut up, Thierry Henry. You don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So to sit there and act like you know that they would still be bad or where they're at if the best athletes play, you're an idiot. You're a great footballer, but that's a stupid thing to say because you have no idea. I'm not even going to entertain that. Shut up, you arrogant bastard. You don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. So to answer that question like you know makes you an idiot. All right. Anyone that answers that question like they know what would happen, should we switch to a more European style development system in this country, right? With academies. Now, granted, the MLS rules, the FIFA rules for MLS to be considered seriously maintain that they have to open an academy. But at what cost to the public, right? Are they actually going out and getting talent like European countries do? And the answer is no. Also, Thierry, shut up. All right? Because another reason for you to shut up, half your team is newly French, if not all. And I'm not knocking it. I agree with it because look at Team USA, Balogun, English Nigerian, Robinson, English, Dest, Dutch American. Like, I'm not knocking it, but I'm saying acknowledge it. Stop your bull and acknowledge it, all right? It's fair because everyone can do it, but knock off the nonsense like you know, like you're so great without all of these factors creating an environment for you to be great. You're just not. And that's the serious issue here, okay? Now, we put all of our hopes as a nation into Christian Pulisic to lead us in the World Cup in the United States. And perhaps that was a mistake because he's just not good enough. He's not strong enough. He's not tough enough, which is what we need. So I don't think we have a star problem. That was a big topic of conversation. The United States has a star problem. That's not true. We simply don't have a star problem. The truth is we don't have dogs. We don't have dogs. And that's something we used to have. And that's something we used to be able to rely on. Look, if we're not going to make it far, we're going to make it ugly. And Paraguay did it. And I don't agree with how they did it, but they did it because it's the only way they stood a chance against what is the best team in the world. I'm not afraid to admit that France is the best team in the world. They are, and they've looked at it. But I'm not going to sit here and allow you to say it's just because the French nation has better footballers. No, there's a lot that goes into it. So let's circle back to what's going on right now with U.S. football. We cannot continue to lack that dog mentality. Dempsey had it. Donovan had it. Bradley had it. Beasley had it. Like, we need to get some of that back. We need to get some of that fight back, that toughness back. And right now, you don't see a lot of that on this team. You don't. You see a finesse team built around just finesse. And for me, for my thoughts, for my money, that is weak. And it stings a little bit. I miss like that annoying football to an extent. Now, I love that we have an attacking minded team. Now, I do, but you cannot do that in lieu of toughness. That's just not something that's going to get you anywhere. This cycle was, I don't think it was, maybe it met expectations, but because it was a home World Cup, I think it's kind of a failure. And I think the Belgian team is our boogeyman now. Like that is the team that we need to set out to be better than is Belgium at a minimum. Because man, they dragged us in the friendly, and then they proved that it wasn't just because Pochettino was testing out different sets, different players, different formations. They proved that it's just because they're a superior team and they're better coached. Because they came out and beat us 4-1. And there were very few answers. So now we've got to look to Frye is done. Frye is done. We got to look to the future. Frye is done. Frye will never suit up for the United States in a meaningful game ever again. Ever. They're going to look to youth. There's a lot of young players that will develop over the next 4 years that are going to take that spot because Frye, golly, he may have went to Harvard, but that brain does not work without studying because he short-circuited. And I don't know, and no one knows but him what he was thinking, but whatever it was, failed. He failed, okay? And he let the entire nation down because when he failed, it was 2-1. All he had to do was clear the ball, and he couldn't even do that. Frye is bad. Frye was a duct tape solution over a giant hole in the United States team, which is we don't have a keeper. All right, Ream is done. This was his last World Cup, and we saw it. He was a step too slow. They were going right at him because they knew he was a step too slow. Dest was all over the place, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he was trying to make something happen, but at the end of the day, nothing did happen. We got left in the dust by a Belgian side that was just better. And this Belgian side, actually, they put up a fight against Spain recently. And though Spain won, I think a lot of it had to do with one of the best keepers in the world getting injured because directly after he gets injured, Spain puts in that second goal and is able to come away with the win maybe 15 minutes later. All right. So that Belgian side wasn't a joke. They were a tough opponent, but that was the opportunity that the USA had and needed to prove that they are a great team and that they can take that next step. And a game against Spain would have gone a long ways as far as putting this sport in the limelight and making sure that it grows the way it needs to. We need this sport to grow in the United States because it is a fantastic sport. And if it grows, investments will be made into the game. If it does not grow, no one's going to see an investment necessary. They're just going to say, hey, look, we are what we are, and this is what we will always be. And that's a piss poor attitude, and that's the attitude that's going to keep us where we are at. Spain, man, it's been a while since they've been where they're at and where they're going. They are officially in the semis, and they're playing France. And we'll see. I think it's going to be a banger of a match, right? You have France that does nothing but score goals, and Spain, who very rarely allows a goal, right? This game against Belgium was the first time in years. I think someone said 10 hours or something. One of the announcers on the game last night said it had been 10 hours of gameplay since Spain had allowed a goal. So Belgium got one into the back of the net, and you can be sure that is looking at how Belgium made that possible, and they are looking to duplicate that success. And then we've got a great match tonight with Norway against England, and I'm stoked because the stars have come out to play in this World Cup. The stars have come out. Mbappe has looked amazing. Messi has looked phenomenal. Harry Kane has looked great, leading his team both on offense and defense. Haaland does nothing but become a cyborg that knocks the ball in the net whenever he gets an opportunity. So this is going to be an amazing matchup. And then, of course, you got, like I said, Messi against Switzerland. Switzerland, out of nowhere, looks like they can take on all comers. Switzerland looks like a tough opponent, and we're excited for that matchup too. And I mean, how crazy! I think England wins in the long run. They've got significantly more talent than Norway have. I think Norway's going to put up a fight. I think the weather is going to play a tremendous role here in Miami for both of these European teams. They're not going to be used to that humidity, that heat, that steam rising off the turf that they're going to have down in South Florida. So that might play a role. That might be a factor in what we see tonight in this World Cup game. But I do think England just has so much talent to throw at Norway. But Norway has an equalizer in Erling Haaland. And I'm excited to see what he can do. I really am. Because that guy is a menace. He is a monster. He did nothing but make Brazil's lives miserable. And it's going to make for a fantastic match tonight. I know you guys are with me. I know you cannot wait to see how this goes. I think that one of the most terrifying things I've seen in a long time is an Argentine team that is an Argentina team that is desperate. Okay. That desperation in the last 12 minutes of that match, right? Watching Messi be the most phenomenal, amazing player to ever play this game. And say what you want about Maradona, say what you want about Pele, but I didn't get to watch them. I'm sorry. Yeah, all we have is videos, and they were playing against a bunch of plumbers. It wasn't the talent that we have today. So they would rise up. It's the Babe Ruth argument. All right. It's the Babe Ruth argument. We don't know. The truth is, you don't know. These players are lab grown to be phenomenal, right? The science has come so far from when Pele and Maradona were playing. And you just have to understand, genuflect at the feet of Lionel Messi, because he is at the top of all of this and he's just phenomenal. When he and Argentina were desperate, that football was insane. It was terrifying. They were, say what you want, like, I'm done with the corruption. We know FIFA's corrupt. Shut up, right? The fans are going to be the fans. They suck, all right? The fans suck. But let's just talk about the product on the field. That game was crazy. The game was absolutely insane. And just think about this. If FIFA's going to set it up for Messi to win, they're not going to give Egypt a 2-0 lead with 12 minutes left. All right. It's stupid person talk. It's dumb talk. All right. It's conspiracy theory talk for idiots. It's not what happened. What happened is Argentina got desperate late and Lionel Messi made things happen. The best player in the world made things happen. Like, you cannot tell me that goal was staged. All right. The Messi goal was absolutely insane. And the setups were insane. Egypt just lost, man. Egypt just lost. They scored 3 goals in like 12 minutes. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. So I don't think Switzerland really has a chance here against Argentina. I think it'll be a fun game. I think Switzerland, out of nowhere, like I said, has become one of the better teams in the world, and it'll be fun to watch. But resistance of Messi making it to the next round is futile. LeBron James still in the news, and it's getting ridiculous. I don't know why we're all clamoring. Like, he's still very good. Yes, he's still one of the best players in the world because he plays in the NBA. However, I'm sure there are about 30 players we would take before LeBron. I don't care anymore. I don't think Dunleavy's going to get it done because Dunleavy can't do anything. Dunleavy is just a potato of a GM that just sits there and utilizes the skill of Steph Curry to make his legacy, and his legacy is not one that any other GM would want. He has been absolutely terrible at surrounding this team and surrounding that player with talent. So my hopes aren't up. I think it's much ado about nothing. I think they're hanging on to this LeBron thing and not taking the time and gathering the assets that will actually make this team better. And I think it's going to be a huge excuse for Dunleavy to fall back on. And that really sucks, that he's going to have that ability to make an excuse as to why it's okay to fail instead of finding reasons to succeed. These are Steph Curry's final years in the NBA, and they're not doing enough. The Warriors aren't doing enough. Dunleavy's not doing enough, and they're stuck. They're stagnant, and now their hopes lie on LeBron James, a 40-year-old superstar that was and not that is. Because if he was that is, the Lakers would be better. That team was really good with Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic and LeBron. They just couldn't play together. Injuries happened, and that team was eliminated. And the West is tough. Right? I don't know if LeBron James to the Warriors is enough to overcome what is the San Antonio Spurs, what is the Oklahoma City Thunder, what is the Denver Nuggets, what is will be the Minnesota Timberwolves. We'll see what that implosion looks like when LaMelo Ball and Ant-Man decide they don't like playing together. But I still don't think LeBron James to the Warriors is enough to overcome what is that hurdle. Okay, it's just going to be too tough. And then, of course, like I said earlier, we've got the return of Conor McGregor to the octagon tonight to face Max Holloway. And it's not setup, because Max Holloway is one of the best MMA fighters in the entire world. He's one of my favorite MMA fighters in the entire world. It is tailor made for him to show whether or not he's still got it. I will say that, but it's not tailor made for him to have a huge win, because Max Holloway could absolutely knock out Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor has not been in the ring, in the octagon, pardon me, in quite some time. And when he was in the octagon, he was getting his ass kicked by Dustin Poirier and Khabib. So I'm not with that. However, I do think that he has a punch that could knock anyone out at any time. He's a terrible person. We all know that. He's not a good person. But as far as MMA goes, he's one of the few bright stars that is still a draw. Okay, he is still someone that brings people to the arenas to watch the spectacle. And they don't have many of those right now. They just don't. So they need this. The UFC needs this. The sport needs this. And I, for one, am interested. I'm interested. I'm not rooting for him to win. I'm a big Max Holloway guy. I think Max Holloway does things the right way. I think Max Holloway is a good dude, and I'm interested. Is all I'm saying in this fight and where this fight's going to go. It's been an interesting summer as far as sports are concerned. It was fantastic to get to go watch my home team, in my home country. It was a dream come true. They let us down later on. Unfortunately, politics got involved and ruined the whole thing. And I think we as a nation, and just as a world, need to stop getting inundated with social media telling us how to feel. We need to stop deciding based on what's on our feed, how we feel, and just enjoy the moments. And we're failing to do that right now. And we failed to do that, I think, with Team USA. And Team USA failed to enjoy the moment. They were riding it out for a little while, but this one thing allowed the whole nation to get thrust into upheaval, and we're back to a polarizing argument for no reason, when we should all be supporting our players. Okay? We should all be supporting our players. We should all hope the best for them. And at the end of the day, that's not what happened. And it was an incredibly sad display on the field, and an incredibly sad display in the comments. Thank you for joining us each and every week here on The Sad. See you.